Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the chilling world of the psychopath, and we're using Dr. Robert D. Hare's incredible research as our guide. Now forget everything you think you know from the movies. We're about to look inside a mind that plays by a completely different set of rules.
Okay, so let's start with a story. A while back, Dr. Hare submitted a research paper that showed the brain activity of a very specific group of prison inmates. Well, the editor of the scientific journal sent it back. He basically said, look, these results, they're so bizarre they couldn't have come from actual human beings.
You know, that rejection raises a really unsettling question, doesn't it? If those strange, almost alien brain patterns didn't belong to what we'd consider real people, then whose minds were they mapping? Who were these subjects?
And the answer is one single powerful word: psychopaths. We're talking about individuals who walk among us, who often seem totally normal, even charming, but they're operating without the one thing that kind of makes us human: a conscience.
So before we break down their specific traits, it is absolutely crucial that we understand what a psychopath is, and maybe just as important, what a psychopath is not. The media gets this wrong all the time, and the difference is, well, it's everything.
Yeah, this right here is a huge misconception people have. A person who is psychotic has lost their grip on reality, but a psychopath, they are terrifyingly in touch with reality. Their actions don't come from some deranged mind. They come from a place of cold, calculating logic that is completely free of things like empathy or guilt.
And here is exactly why this matters to you. This isn't just some academic thought experiment or a deep dive into serial killers you see on the news. Dr. Hare is pretty clear that most of us, at some point, are going to be hurt by a psychopath, whether it's a boss, a partner, or a con artist. So, understanding them, it's really a form of self-defense.
So how do they do it? How do they hide in plain sight? Well, it all starts with what experts call the mask of sanity. This charming, confident, and totally fake face they show to the world.
Their number one tool, their most effective weapon, is this disarming charm. They are absolute masters of the first impression. They're witty, they're engaging, they're incredibly smooth. They know exactly what to say to make you trust them and let your guard down.
And this quote's just, wow, it nails it. You've got this experienced author talking to a doctor who murdered his entire family. And what shocked him wasn't just how horrible the crime was, but the casual, easy way the killer talked about it. That kind of glibness in the face of absolute horror, that's a massive red flag.
Now, behind that charm is an ego that is just staggering. Psychopaths truly see themselves as superior beings. They think the normal rules don't apply to them. They have this incredibly inflated, narcissistic view of how important they are, and they feel entitled to literally whatever they want. I mean, listen to this. This is from John Wayne Gacy, one of the most infamous serial killers in history. After he tortured and murdered 33 young men, he actually saw himself as the real victim. This is the psychopathic mind at work, twisting reality itself to keep that grandiose self-image intact no matter what.
For a psychopath, lying is like breathing. It's just what they do. They lie so easily, so effortlessly, often for no real reason at all, maybe just for the sport of it, to see if they can get away with it. And their stories are so convincing because they feel zero stress, zero guilt when they're deceiving you.
So, get this. This is a real-life example from inside a prison. This one inmate, they called him Motormouth, he told researchers this absolutely incredible life story, and they were impressed. But then they checked his file, and it turned out almost none of it was true. His motto was basically, if you throw enough crap at the wall, some of it's bound to stick.
So we have this charming, grandiose, lying mask, but what is it hiding? The answer is a profound and really disturbing emptiness inside. Let's take a look at the emotional void at the very core of the psychopath.
This right here is maybe the most perfect description of a psychopath's inner world. They've studied people. They can talk about love, about sadness, about regret. They know the dictionary definitions of these feelings, but they are completely incapable of actually feeling them. It's all an act, an imitation of emotion, not the real thing.
And if you want a chilling, real-world example, here it is. This statement from Diane Downs is just so tone-deaf it exposes that void. Instead of grieving her children, one of whom died, she's complaining about her own minor wound and calling them lucky. She knows the words to sound like a victim, but she can't feel the music of a mother's grief.
And because they can't feel empathy, they feel absolutely no guilt.
None. For all the pain and destruction they cause, it means nothing to them. To a psychopath, other people are just objects, pawns in their game. And if you get hurt, well, that's your problem. In fact, a lot of the time, they think their victims had it coming.
Dr. Hare tells his story from his time as a prison psychologist, and it's almost impossible to process. An inmate is describing one of the most monstrous things imaginable, with a smile on his face. That is what a total lack of remorse looks like. It's a complete and total disconnect between the act and any kind of human emotion.
So, you have this emotional void on the inside. How does that actually play out in their day-to-day life? Well, without the normal guardrails of a conscience, their whole lifestyle becomes about impulse, irresponsibility, and this desperate, constant need for excitement.
Okay, this sequence of events actually happened in a prison, and it says everything about their impulsivity. A normal person would feel a rush of anger, sure, but then maybe regret or fear. For the psychopath, that anger is just a quick flash, a tool to solve a problem. And then, poof, it's gone. No lingering emotion, just back to the dinner line.
You have to understand, for a psychopath, a normal, routine life is basically a prison sentence. They feel this deep, gnawing boredom that drives them to constantly seek out thrills and risky behavior, whether it's con games, dangerous jobs, drugs, or crime. It's not about being brave, it's about running from monotony.
Okay, so let's put it all together. We've seen the deceptive mask on the outside, we've seen the empty core on the inside, and we've seen the chaotic life that results from it all. Understanding this three-part profile is honestly your single best tool for recognizing and protecting yourself.
When you really boil it all down, everything we've talked about, the charm, the lies, the impulsivity, that emotional void, it all stems from this one single defining trait. The absolute hallmark of the psychopath is a stunning, complete lack of conscience. Their whole life is a game of self-gratification, and other people are just pieces on the board.
So we're going to leave you with this final really important question. The point of all this isn't to make you paranoid. It's to make you prepared. Because when you meet someone who seems just a little too good to be true, whose stories don't quite line up, or whose charm feels a bit too slick, well, recognizing these patterns is the first and most powerful step you can take to make sure you never become a pawn in their game.